Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into the dramatic, shocking start of World War II in the West. We're going to see how that eerie period of quiet, the so-called Phoney War, just completely shattered, turning a tense standoff into an all-out fight for survival. So here's the puzzle we're going to piece together. How on earth did a strategy based on a giant concrete wall, a fortress designed to prevent a war, end up triggering a massive battle in the skies that would decide a nation's fate? Let's connect those dots. All right, so to understand this, we have to go back. Our story really kicks off with a world that is just completely on edge. The scars of the First World War were still fresh, and countries were desperate to stop that kind of catastrophe from ever happening again.
And you've got to remember, this wasn't just happening in a bubble. The whole world was in the grip of the Great Depression. Economies were collapsing, people were suffering. The absolute last thing anyone wanted or could afford was another brutal, devastating war. And that deep-seated fear led to one of the biggest construction projects in history.
This was it, the Maginot Line. I mean, for its time, this thing was a technological marvel. We're talking a massive, almost unbroken wall of concrete bunkers, hidden artillery, and underground tunnels. It was designed with just one purpose: make the French border with Germany impossible to cross. And here is the absolute key to the whole thing. The entire Allied strategy was based on fighting the last war. They were haunted by the memory of trench warfare, so they put all their faith in defense. They figured any new war would be the same slow, grinding battle, and the Maginot Line was going to be their unbeatable ultimate trench. But here's the twist. While the Allies were getting ready to refight World War I, Germany had a totally different playbook. Their plan wasn't about brute force. It was all about speed, surprise, and finding a way around the wall. Okay, so take a look at the map. The main British and French armies are all positioned right here, dug in behind their state-of-the-art defenses. They're feeling pretty confident, just waiting for a head-on attack that they believe they can easily repel. But Germany didn't play their game. They didn't even try to smash against the line. They just went around. They smashed through the neutral countries of Belgium and the Netherlands and punched their tanks through the Ardennes forest, a place the Allies thought was totally impassable for an army. And the result? It was an absolute catastrophe for the Allies. In just a matter of days, those German tanks had swung completely behind the main Allied army, cutting them off. They were trapped, pinned against the English Channel with nowhere to go. The trap had snapped shut.
This absolutely stunning move led to one of the most desperate and, as it turns out, most iconic moments of the entire war. And it all centered on one small French beach town.
And here we are, Dunkirk. In late May and early June of 1940, you've got hundreds of thousands of Allied soldiers just stranded on these beaches. They are a perfect target, and the powerful German army is closing in on them, fast. Just try to picture it. Your back is to the ocean. The enemy is coming at you from the other three sides. Militarily speaking, the situation was completely hopeless. It really looked like the entire British army was about to be wiped off the map. But then, something happened that nobody expected. Not the Allies, and certainly not the Germans. It was a moment of sheer chaos, improvisation, and incredible courage that would become the stuff of legend. 338,000 over 9 absolutely frantic days, that's how many Allied soldiers were rescued from those beaches. It was this massive, improvised evacuation, famously involving a whole fleet of civilian boats. We're talking fishing boats, yachts, ferries, you name it, that sailed right across the channel to bring the boys home. Now, let's be crystal clear. Dunkirk was a colossal military defeat, a disaster. But in the hands of a leader like Churchill, the story of the escape was transformed. It became a miracle of deliverance. It became this powerful symbol of defiance and the will to fight on no matter the odds. But here's the thing. Saving the army from the beaches of France created a brand new, even bigger problem. With Europe now lost, Britain stood totally alone. And Germany was looking right at it. With the ground war over, the whole conflict moved into the sky. All through the summer and fall of 1940, the German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, launched this massive air campaign. It kicked off in July with attacks on shipping. Then in August, they went after the airfields, and finally, starting in September, they began bombing London itself. That was the beginning of the Blitz. This was what Churchill would call their finest hour, the fate of the entire nation. The question of whether Germany could invade, it all rested on the shoulders of just a few thousand pilots in the Royal Air Force, who scrambled into the air day after day to fight them off. So you can see this incredible chain of events, right? A failed concrete wall leads to a miraculous escape, which leads to a desperate battle in the sky. The army was saved, and then the island itself was saved from invasion. But that left one single, terrifying question hanging in the air. With all of Europe gone, what on earth would they do next?